So behind me is a really cool aircraft. This is a Boeing B17G Flying Fortress. This is the Memphis Belle. This was one of our heavy bombers during World War II that we used to defeat the Axis powers. Now, as you can see, typical for Florida, the weather is not cooperating, but give us here about 5 minutes in Florida and the weather's gonna change. So if you look on the side of this aircraft back here, you'll see that there's bombs and swastikas painted on the side. The bombs were the pilot's account of how many actual bombing runs or bombing missions that they had made, and the swastikas were for how many German aircraft this aircraft actually shot down during its tour. So these are the rear 50 caliber machine guns covering the rear of the aircraft. The tail gunner would actually sit in here and fly all the way to Berlin and back in this little tiny compartment. So folks, we got a special treat for you. We are actually inside a Boeing B-17G Flying Fortress. Now inside the aircraft right now, we are at the waist guns. So this is a 50 caliber machine gun with a big open window pointing out the side. We would have been trying to look for enemies shooting at them. It would have been about 30 below zero with the wind blowing in at about 180 miles an hour. So as you can see here, this 50 cal is tucked away. This 50 cal is pointed out the window. When they were actually in flight, both of these guns would have been pointed outside with a gunner working each side of the aircraft, protecting the sides of the aircraft. As we come forward, here's the ball turret. Now, an actual human being has to fit inside this thing so that it can spin around and fire and protect the underbelly of the aircraft. It takes a very small person to fit in there. This big guy ain't gonna fit. Right now, we're just forward of the ball turret in the aircraft. We're at the radio operator seat, but here's the really cool thing about this aircraft. This thing was literally designed to be a flying fortress. So above the radio operator, he has a skylight that he can pop out. See these tracks right here? Normally there'd be a 30 caliber machine gun that when they were in combat, he could pop this skylight open, pop out a 30 caliber and protect the top of the aircraft from being dived upon. Now forward of that is the bomb bay. This is where the business happened. We're gonna move in there next. So folks, where we are right now is you're looking into the bomb bay. This is the business end of this aircraft. The guys would fly all the way from our allies all the way to where they were gonna drop their ordnances. They would hang in these racks on each side. When they got over target, the bomb bay doors would open. The bombardier would actually get control of the aircraft. He would tell bombs away, they would drop the bombs, close the doors, turn the aircraft around, and fly home as quick as they could get there. So in front of me is where the crew chief would sit. In this walkway that I'm standing in is forward where the navigator and the bombardier would sit. Up here would be the pilot and co-pilot. Now right up here is a really, really cool little switch. It says bombardier or pilot. So as they approach the target, the bombardier could actually take over control of the airplane and fly the aircraft by the Norton bomb site until he released his bombs. At that moment, the pilot would take control over, turn this bird around, and head home. So we're in the nose of the B-17. Now there's two seats up here. One was the navigator who sat over here. The navigator, when he wasn't navigating, had a 50 caliber machine gun that he could protect the one side of the nose of the aircraft. The other person sat up here was the bombardier, and the bombardier also had a 50 caliber machine gun to protect the other side of the nose of the aircraft. Now the bombardier's position had a seat that turned around that gave him access to the Norton bomb site. Now during the World War II, this was classified information, highly protected information. This thing was so classified because it had the ability to mechanically calculate the plane's altitude, airspeed, crosswind speed, and the weight of the bombs to get it to actually hit the target. So what I learned while I was here talking to the crew of this aircraft is that in a squadron of bombers, there was actually only 2 Norton bomb sites, one in the lead aircraft and in the backup aircraft. And the reason behind that is this top secret information was so precious, they never wanted the enemy to be able to get a hold of it if an aircraft crashed. So when the lead aircraft or the backup aircraft released their bombs, all the other bombers automatically released their bombs because they knew flying in a tight formation, they would be over target. If the aircraft ever had to make an emergency landing, say in enemy territory, they were instructed to destroy this machine. It was blown up, beaten up, or smashed into pieces. Some of you that are aviation nuts may have noticed from the outside photographs that this plane actually didn't have the front top turret. There's a reason for it. This turret right now is in the middle of restoration. Now the crew chief, when he wasn't doing crew chief duties, was also the gunner. There would have been a double 50 caliber machine gun on a glass dome that spun 360 degrees. And that crew chief would have been over there protecting the top side of this aircraft from the enemy. Now, those of you that are aircraft nuts are gonna say that's not a Boeing B-17G, that's a Boeing B-17F. That isn't correct. This is actually a G with the chin turret removed. Why was the chin turret removed? Well, this is the Memphis Belle from the movie, but it's not the actual Memphis Belle. That aircraft is in a museum. This is the aircraft they used for the filming of the movie Memphis Belle. And the real Memphis Belle is an F model, so they removed the chin turret to make it look correct for the movie.